Shedeur Sanders, Dillon Gabriel starting, Shedeur Sanders possibly, taking over for Lamar Jackson if he would choose to be drafted to the Baltimore Ravens. All these shenanigans going on about Shedeur Sanders. Rex Ryan telling him to shut up and focus on his work and things like that, all out of line, So there's a lot of things we want to talk about with Shedeur, and we have to get into it, you know what I mean? But if y'all be rocking with me, y'all make sure y'all join these live streams when I'm on here Monday, Thursday, Saturdays, sometimes Saturday and sometimes Sunday, or most of Sundays. You know what I mean? If y'all been rocking with me, y'all know that I was right again. I think this was the previous live that I stated, man, that Shedeur Sanders, it wasn't surprising. I knew nobody was thinking that Shedeur Sanders would be the third string quarterback when Dillon Gabriel is named the starter, right? And now we're here. Joe Flacco is the backup quarterback, and Shedeur Sanders is the third string quarterback.
Just like
Who
you
would
said,
have ever thought? Who would have ever thought? So what does that mean? What does that mean? If Dillon Gabriel struggles, Joe Flacco will come back in the game? Does that make sense?
It don't.
Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense unless Stefanski doesn't want two rookies taking the field at the same time, right? Pretty much in the same game. But if that's the case, if Flacco has to relieve Dillon Gabriel because Dillon Gabriel struggles, then the game where Shedeur Sanders is named the starter or he gets his chance to play, Joe Flacco should be Shedeur backup just as he was for Dillon Gabriel, right? That should how the scenario should work.
It should, but you never know with them Browns, man.
But I'm thinking this is a fair competition, so I'm trying to see it out. I want to make, I want to see Shedeur Sanders get on the field. I think he should have the opportunity, right? So if this is a fair competition, this is how things should play out. I wasn't expecting Shedeur Sanders to be named the third string quarterback when Dillon Gabriel is being named the first string quarterback. I thought Joe Flacco would be the third string quarterback and be a mentor to these young men and teach them how to grow as a professional and so on and so forth, right? And that is not the case, right? And I bet Kevin Stefanski is praying harder than he ever prayed in his life, hoping Dillon Gabriel works out. I know he is hoping Dillon Gabriel works out. But Coach Prime said it best. Coach Prime said his son, Shedeur Sanders, is unflappable. And when I say unflappable, I mean unflappable. Because when Dillon Gabriel was announced, when it was announced that Dillon Gabriel was the starter this week, the reporters had to get Shedeur Sanders' take on Dillon being named the starter.
They probably asked Shedeur before they asked Dillon.
They thought it was at Shedeur Sanders' locker before they was at Dillon Gabriel locker to talk about Dillon Gabriel's star, But besides them asking him about Dillon Gabriel starting, the news, wherever he heard it from, but I'm pretty sure he heard it from the coaches first. And that got to be a shock to anyone that's in a competition that the person you're in competition with got the edge on you, right? That has to hit anybody the wrong way, right? But here is Shedeur Sanders being questioned after the news broke that Dillon Gabriel will be the starter. Let's check it out.
Quarterback. Vocally, anything to say?
I guess one more. What do you think? You have to show to the coaches just to.
How much has Joe been important to both you and Dillon in terms of your guys' development to this point?
Man, listen, man. Shedeur Sanders, man, he ain't doing nothing but having fun. Y'all can't see the young man smiling, doing the best that he can because our attention is always, surrounding him. He's just having fun. But being that all eyes are always on Shedeur, people are going to make this a bigger deal than it really is. This is not a big deal at all. This is not a big deal at all. It's a young man having fun with the media. But he's a quarterback, and his position and name garners a lot of attention. So what does everyone want to do? Make it into something that it's not. And like I said, that feeling of, that feeling like you've lost the competition as a competitor, man, that is not a good feeling. That is not a good feeling at all, no matter who you are. And when Shedeur Sanders thought about how to respond, all he could think about was Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan Cummings telling the world Shedeur talks too much. He needs to shut up, get in the film room and study. So what does Shedeur do? You just seen him. Try not to talk and give people something to say. But of course, Shedeur having fun, not saying anything. It's going to get more attention than him actually saying something about Dillon Gabriel, like you said, Dries. You know what I mean? They probably came to Shedeur Sanders' locker before they went to Dillon Gabriel locker. When Dillon Gabriel when it was announced that Dillon Gabriel would be the starter. How pathetic is that?
Right. You don't see no reporters talking to Jameis Winston when they said Jackson Dart the starter.
You haven't seen one hot take or one cut up clip about Jameson speaking about Jackson Dart being the starter. We don't hear that. We heard Jameson speaking at the beginning of the season about what he wanted to do for that team and so on and so forth.
That's not something they normally do, man. They don't go to their third string quarterback say, "Hey, how you feel about the second string starting this week?" But got for Shedeur.
Yeah, that's just wild that this young rookie, 5th round rookie, has to deal with this, and it's a part of his life. So hope he's dealing with it the best he can. But the best way he can. I was thinking how Kevin Stefanski should have and could have handled this, right? And the best way Kevin Stefanski could have made himself look much better as a coach if he had started out the season with Dillon Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders the starter and Joe Flacco the backup, right? So Joe Flacco is the backup. These two young rookies are fighting it out to be the starter. And then when they struggle or the game is getting too much or the Cleveland Browns can't win any games, now bring Joe Flacco in to relieve one of them because they need a break. They need a reset. And I think that would have made Stefanski look like a better coach. And he would have had every reason necessary to ride out with Joe Flacco for the rest of the season if Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel didn't work out, which he pretty much wanted to do. Now it's possible Kevin Stefanski will look like he is playing musical chairs with his quarterbacks. Dillon Gabriel will struggle. There's no doubt about that. He is a rookie. This is his first live action. I'm trying to use my words correctly, right? I think he has all the basics for a quarterback, but I don't know if he has that it factor to lead a team in crunch time. He could look good in the first half, just like Matt Jones did. But when the team goes in for halftime and they make adjustments or they design plays strictly for you and how you play and your favorite target, things change for your quarterbacks. And Dillon Gabriel, I don't know if he has the it factor to overcome all those circumstances. Joe Flacco time is long past, so I don't know why Shedeur Sanders isn't the backup quarterback. But like I said, it could seem a little weird or not too confident in it if you're the head coach to have a rookie coming in starting for the first game and then you want to have a rookie quarterback, right? So on the surface, it could look a little weird. But if that is the case, like I said, Kevin Stefanski had to handle things in the correct manner if you want to go about it that way, But that's what I'm waiting to see, man. I'm waiting to see Dillon Gabriel in crunch time when the game is on the line, how he performs. I don't want to see everybody out here, hating on Dillon Gabriel, because we're rooting for Shedeur Sanders or, rooting for rooting for Dillon Gabriel's downfall and things like that, man. That is unnecessary. And man, you know, you shouldn't roll like that, you know. I hope Dillon Gabriel does a great job. You know, I hope he goes out there and you know, he delivers.
Right.
You know, like he's supposed to. You know, when Shedeur Sanders' time comes, his time is going to come. What you gonna say?
I think Shedeur a little excited right now, man. I feel like he one step closer to becoming a starter.
Exactly.
They already made the call, so I think he like got a little excitement. Like, all right, one down, I'm coming up next. Like, I feel like that's the way he walking around right now, preparing to one day, maybe this season, be a starter as well.
Exactly. I mean, why not? Why not feel like that? You know, why not feel like he's one play away from being able to get an opportunity to start now? You know, the same person he was drafted with in the same class is up. If he's up, why can't Shedeur be up? Just because they have him third string, that doesn't mean he won't get opportunity. So yeah, if I was in Shedeur Sanders' position, I would feel the same way like you saying, Dries. Like I would be preparing, thinking my opportunity is right around the corner.